The Taos hum, a sound only some can hear. Imagine lying in bed at night surrounded by silence, except it's not silent. Somewhere in the distance, a low, droning hum fills your ears. At first, you think it's a passing truck, a distant generator, or maybe even your own imagination. But the sound never stops. It follows you wherever you go, invading your sleep, your thoughts, your life. This is the reality for those who hear the Taos hum, a strange, persistent sound reported in Taos, New Mexico, and other places around the world. Described as a deep, low-frequency rumble, this noise is heard by only a small percentage of the population. But here's the catch: no recording device has ever been able to capture it. It doesn't seem to come from any specific direction. And no one knows why only some people can hear it while others experience complete silence. Scientists have scrambled for explanations: industrial machines, underground gas lines, or even a phenomenon within the human ear itself. Yet none of these theories fully explain why the hum seems localized, persistent, and selective in who can hear it. Some believe it's the earth itself making noise, a natural frequency that only a few are sensitive to. Others suspect it's something more sinister, a secret military experiment, an unknown energy source, or even a global conspiracy. But before we dive deeper into the unknown, let's move to another unexplained signal. One that didn't just hum, it screamed across the universe, leaving scientists stunned. The wow signal, a message from the stars? August 15, 1977. A radio telescope in Ohio, known as the Big Ear, scans the sky as usual. Night after night, it listens for signals from deep space, static, white noise, the usual. But on this night, something different happens. A signal erupts from the cosmos. Strong. Unmistakable. Unnatural. For 72 seconds, the radio waves scream into the telescope. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, silence. Astronomer Jerry Emin, reviewing the data, circles the strange frequency and writes one word in red ink. Wow! The wow signal, as it became known, remains one of the most mysterious signals ever detected. It came from deep space, from an area where no known planets or stars could have created it. It was too precise to be random cosmic noise, too structured to be from a star or black hole. Was it a message? An alien civilization reaching out across the void? Decades later, we still don't know. The signal never repeated, never returned. Scientists have tried for years to hear it again, scanning the same part of the sky, but all they've found is silence. If it was an alien message, why didn't they send it again? Did we miss our one and only chance at first contact? Or was something stopping them? But as we search the stars for answers, an even greater mystery lies much closer to home. A mystery that fills 95% of the universe, and yet we can't even see it. Dark matter and dark energy, the invisible forces that shape reality. Everything we see, touch, and measure, planets, stars, galaxies, even our own bodies, makes up only 5% of the universe. The other 95%? We have no idea. Scientists call it dark matter and dark energy. Not because it's literally dark, but because it's invisible, undetectable, yet undeniably there. Dark matter is believed to hold galaxies together. Without it, the stars and galaxies would spin apart, as if some unseen glue wasn't keeping them in place. We can't see it, but we know it must exist because of how it affects gravity. Then there's dark energy, the force that's making the universe expand faster and faster. It's as if space itself is being stretched by an unseen hand, pushing galaxies apart at speeds beyond comprehension. What are these forces? Are they unknown particles? Hidden dimensions? Or are we simply wrong about everything we think we know about physics? The deeper scientists search, the stranger the universe becomes. But if belief alone could reshape the world, what about something even stranger, healing the body with nothing but thought? Because next, we dive into the placebo effect, a power so mysterious it might prove that reality is shaped by our own minds. The placebo effect, healing with the power of belief. Imagine walking into a doctor's office, suffering from chronic pain. The doctor hands you a pill, telling you it will make you feel better. You take it. Within hours, the pain fades. But here's the twist: the pill was nothing more than sugar. This is the placebo effect, one of the strangest, most powerful mysteries of the human body. A simple belief that you are receiving real medicine can trigger actual healing, reducing pain, lowering blood pressure, even fighting depression. Scientists have tested this phenomenon over and over. In one study, patients with knee pain were given fake surgeries. The doctors made an incision, but performed no real operation. Yet, those patients recovered just as well as those who had the real surgery. How is this possible? The leading theory is that the brain expects to heal and, in response, releases chemicals that reduce pain or even accelerate recovery. The mind, in essence, tricks the body into getting better. But if belief alone can heal, could the opposite be true? Could fear and doubt prevent healing, or even cause harm? And if the placebo effect can override biology, what about creatures that can override time itself? Because next, we explore a tiny creature that defies death, aging, and even the laws of nature. The immortal jellyfish, nature's ultimate cheat code. Deep beneath the ocean waves drifts a tiny, translucent jellyfish no bigger than your fingernail. At first glance, it seems insignificant, just another small creature lost in the vast sea. But this jellyfish is anything but ordinary. When threatened, injured, or even dying, it does something no other creature on Earth can do. Instead of perishing, it reverses its aging process. It shrinks, transforms, and turns back into a baby jellyfish. Imagine a human growing old, feeling the weight of time, then suddenly shrinking back into a child, over and over, forever. This jellyfish, known as Turritopsis dohrnii, is biologically immortal. It doesn't age in the traditional sense. It doesn't die unless physically destroyed. It simply resets and starts again. Scientists are baffled. Could this be the key to human immortality? If we unlock the secrets of this jellyfish, could we stop aging altogether? And if this tiny creature has unlocked the secret to time, why do humans sometimes feel trapped in loops of time themselves? Because next, we dive into a phenomenon that has haunted minds for centuries: the eerie, unexplainable feeling of déjà vu. Déjà vu, have you lived this moment before? You're walking down the street when suddenly, something feels off. The way the sunlight hits the pavement, the sound of distant voices, the smell of the air, it all feels too familiar. As if you've been here before. As if this exact moment has already happened, even though you know it hasn't. This is déjà vu, a phenomenon that affects almost everyone at some point in their lives. But what causes it? Scientists believe it might be a glitch in how our brains process memories, a brief misfire that makes the present feel like the past. Others think it's the brain recognizing patterns too quickly, creating the illusion that a new experience is actually an old one. But some theories go even deeper. Could déjà vu be a glimpse into another life? A sign that we've lived this moment in a parallel universe? Or even a sign that reality itself is repeating? And if we can experience echoes of memories that never happened, what about a book filled with words no one can read? Because next, we turn the pages of the Voynich manuscript, the world's strangest book, written in an unknown language that no one has ever been able to decipher. The Voynich manuscript, the book no one can read. Imagine walking into a dimly lit library filled with ancient books, the scent of old paper and dust hanging in the air. You pull a book from the shelf. Its cover is worn, its pages yellowed with age. But as you flip through it, something is wrong. The words don't make sense. The letters look like no language you've ever seen. The pages are filled with strange symbols, unknown plants, and bizarre diagrams that defy explanation. This isn't just any book. It's the Voynich manuscript, one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in history. No one knows who wrote it. No one knows why. And despite centuries of effort, no one can read it. Discovered in 1912 by a rare book dealer named Wilfred Voynich, the manuscript has baffled scholars, linguists, and cryptographers ever since. Some believe it's an ancient medical guide. Others think it's a coded text hiding secrets lost to time. Even modern AI programs have tried to crack its code, and failed. The illustrations inside are just as confusing. Some pages show impossible plants, species that don't exist anywhere on Earth. Others depict tiny, naked women bathing in green liquid, surrounded by mysterious tubes and machinery. Could this be a lost language, forgotten by time? Or something even stranger? Some believe it could be the work of a genius hoaxer, creating a book of nonsense to fool future generations. Others speculate it might have been written by an alien intelligence, documenting something our human minds simply can't comprehend. And yet, the manuscript feels too structured, too deliberate to be random. It has the complexity of a real language, but one that belongs to no civilization on record. What if it wasn't meant to be read by humans at all? Because buried in history, deep beneath the ruins of time, there exists a device so advanced that it shouldn't have existed in the ancient world. The Antikythera mechanism, the 2,000-year-old computer. In the year 1901, a group of sponge divers off the coast of Greece made a discovery that would shake the foundations of history. They were exploring an ancient shipwreck when one of them noticed a lump of corroded metal, covered in centuries of rust and debris. It didn't look like much. Just another artifact lost to time. But when scientists examined it, they were stunned. Inside the broken piece of metal were gears. Intricate cogs. Moving parts. This wasn't just any ancient relic. This was the Antikythera mechanism, a device that functioned like a computer, built more than 2,000 years ago. And here's the problem: nothing like this should have existed at that time. The mechanism was designed to track astronomical movements, predict eclipses, and even calculate planetary positions, something we wouldn't expect to see until over 1,000 years later. The precision of its gears, the complexity of its design, it was far more advanced than anything else from the ancient world. In fact, similar technology didn't appear again until the 15th century, during the rise of clockwork engineering. So how did the ancient Greeks create it? Some believe it was the work of a forgotten genius inventor, lost to history. Others think it hints at a lost civilization with knowledge far beyond what we thought possible. And then, there are the theories that go even further. What if the Antikythera mechanism wasn't created by humans at all? What if it was a relic from something older, something unknown? Because time has a way of hiding secrets. And sometimes time itself doesn't behave the way we expect it to. Some moments feel like they stretch on forever, others seem to vanish instantly. And in some cases, people report time itself breaking, glitching, repeating, or skipping forward. Which brings us to our next mystery: time perception anomalies. Time perception anomalies, when time feels wrong. Close your eyes and think back to childhood. Remember how long summer days used to feel? How a single afternoon could stretch into what seemed like forever. Now, think about how fast life seems to move as an adult. The weeks blur together. The years slip away in an instant. Why does time feel different depending on our age? And why do some moments, like car accidents or moments of danger, feel as if they're happening in slow motion? Scientists believe it all comes down to how our brains process time. When we experience something new, our brain records every detail, making time feel longer. But when life becomes repetitive, when our days blend into routine, our brain compresses those memories, making time seem shorter. But here's where it gets stranger. There are cases where people experience time breaking. Some people report losing hours of their day with no explanation. Others claim they've lived the same moment twice, like a real-life glitch in the system. And then there are stories of time loops, moments where people seem to go back in time by a few minutes, only to relive the same events again. Could it be that time isn't as stable as we think? And if time itself can be questioned, what about objects that don't belong in history at all? Because next, we uncover the stone spheres of Costa Rica, perfectly round, ancient stone balls that defy explanation. The stone spheres of Costa Rica, the impossible ancient orbs. Deep in the jungles of Costa Rica, hidden beneath layers of vegetation, lie hundreds of massive stone spheres. Some are as small as a basketball, while others weigh over 16 tons, perfectly smooth, eerily round, and carved from solid rock. But here's the mystery. No one knows who made them, or why. The spheres were first discovered in the 1930s when workers were clearing the jungle for banana plantations. At first, they thought they were natural formations, until they realized something unsettling. The stones were too perfectly shaped to be a coincidence. Each one was crafted with precision that should have been impossible for the ancient civilizations of Costa Rica. There are no written records. No tools have ever been found. And even today, scientists can't explain how they were made, because carving something this precise without modern equipment would have taken generations of effort. Some believe they were made for religious rituals. Others think they were territorial markers. And then, there are the theories that go much deeper. Some suggest that the spheres weren't made by human hands at all. That they might have been placed there by an ancient lost civilization, or even something not of this world. And if that's true, what were they marking? Because some of these spheres seem to line up with star constellations, as if they were placed there with knowledge of astronomy far beyond what we thought possible. Were they a message left behind? A warning? Or something even stranger? And if history is filled with objects that shouldn't exist, what about artifacts that seem to predict the future? Because next, we uncover an ancient discovery that should not have existed in its time, and it's called the Baghdad Battery, a 2,000-year-old power source. In 1938, an archaeologist named Wilhelm Koenig was digging near Baghdad when he found something unexpected. A small clay jar, sealed shut, buried for over 2,000 years. But inside was something that shouldn't have existed in the ancient world. A copper cylinder. An iron rod. Signs of an acidic liquid. And when modern scientists studied it, they realized something shocking. This was a working electrical battery. Over 1,000 years before the invention of electricity. Wait. What? How could an ancient civilization have built a battery? And more importantly, what were they using it for? Some scientists believe these batteries might have been used for electroplating, coating objects in gold or silver using an electric charge. But others think the implications could be far greater. Because if ancient civilizations had access to primitive electricity, what else did they know that we don't? Could they have had early forms of technology lost to time? Or was this knowledge given to them by something, or someone, else? Some say that throughout history, civilizations have risen and fallen, leaving behind only fragments of their knowledge. Others believe that these discoveries are evidence of ancient contact with something beyond human understanding. And if that's true, then what else has been forgotten? Because history is filled with strange gaps, moments where entire civilizations vanish without explanation. And the biggest mystery of them all? The lost city of Atlantis. The lost city of Atlantis, a civilization that vanished. Imagine a city so advanced that it put all others to shame. A civilization with technology, culture, and architecture beyond its time. And then, in a single moment, it was gone. Lost beneath the waves. This is the legend of Atlantis. The first known mention of Atlantis comes from the philosopher Plato, over 2,000 years ago. He described it as a powerful, advanced civilization that ruled the seas. But according to his writings, Atlantis was destroyed in a great catastrophe, sinking into the ocean, never to be seen again. For centuries, people have debated whether Atlantis was real or just a myth. But here's where things get strange. All over the world, archaeologists have found evidence of ancient cities lost beneath the ocean, from the ruins off the coast of Japan to the submerged temples in India. Could Atlantis have been one of them? Some believe Atlantis was based on a real event, possibly inspired by the Minoan civilization, which was devastated by a massive volcanic eruption around 1600 BC. But others think Plato's story wasn't just a warning, but a memory. A memory of a forgotten age, when civilizations rose and fell, leaving behind only whispers in history. And if Atlantis did exist, then maybe there are other lost cities out there, waiting to be discovered. Or worse, maybe something wiped them out on purpose. And if that's true, what else has been erased from history? The Antikythera mechanism, a 2,000-year-old computer. In 1901, Sponge divers off the coast of Greece discovered something impossible. A shipwreck. And inside, buried beneath centuries of sediment, was a small, corroded lump of metal. At first, they thought it was just a pile of gears fused together by time. But when scientists examined it, they realized something shocking. This was a mechanical computer. A device built over 2,000 years ago, capable of tracking the movements of the sun, moon, and planets with a precision unmatched until the 18th century. Wait. What? How could an ancient civilization build something so advanced? The mechanism contained over 30 bronze gears, similar to the inner workings of a modern clock. It could predict eclipses, solstices, and even the timing of the Olympic Games. The only problem? Technology like this shouldn't have existed for another 1,400 years. And yet, there it was. The Antikythera mechanism proves that the ancients knew far more than we ever imagined. But the real question is, where did this knowledge come from? Because no other device like it has ever been found. It's as if someone gave the Greeks advanced technology, and then it was lost forever. And if this is just one discovery, how many other ancient machines have we overlooked? And if there was once a forgotten age of technology, could something even stranger be hidden in our past? Because the next mystery defies the laws of physics themselves. The Ulfbert swords, Viking weapons from the future. Vikings were known as fearsome warriors, but some of them wielded something beyond their time. A sword so strong and so advanced that experts say it shouldn't have existed in the medieval world. These swords were called Ulfberts. Made between 800 and 1000 AD, an Ulfbert sword was stronger, sharper, and more flexible than any other weapon of the era. But here's the weird part. The steel used to forge them was so pure that it was hundreds of years ahead of its time. Medieval blacksmiths shouldn't have been able to make steel this refined. It required temperatures of 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, far beyond what medieval forges could reach. And yet, somehow, the Vikings had them. But here's where it gets even stranger. Out of the thousands of Viking weapons ever found, only 170 Ulfbert swords exist. It's as if they were a secret technology, only available to a select few. So where did these swords come from? Some believe the technology was stolen from ancient Persian or Indian blacksmiths, civilizations that had more advanced metalworking. Others think the knowledge came from even deeper in history, perhaps rediscovered from an earlier lost civilization. But there's one more theory. One that suggests the swords weren't forged on Earth at all. Because meteoric iron, a metal found in fallen space rocks, has been used in ancient weapons before. So could the Vikings have forged these swords from metal that came from the stars? And if that's true, could there be other objects in history that weren't made by humans at all? Because next, we look at an artifact that may have been left behind by an unknown civilization, or something else entirely. The Sri Lanka meteorite fossils. Did life come from space? In 2012, something crashed to Earth over Sri Lanka. A meteorite. But when scientists examined the fragments, they found something that changed everything. Inside the meteorite were tiny, fossilized structures, microscopic, but unmistakably biological. Signs of life. Wait. What? This wasn't just organic material. Some of the microscopic structures looked like diatoms, tiny algae-like organisms. But here's the catch. These didn't match any species on Earth. So if they weren't from here, where did they come from? This discovery led some scientists to consider an ancient theory called panspermia, the idea that life didn't start on Earth, but was seeded here from space. That maybe, billions of years ago, microbial life hitched a ride on asteroids and meteorites, crashing onto a young Earth, and evolving into everything we see today. And if that's true, what else could be out there? Could entire alien ecosystems be drifting through space, waiting to take root on a new planet? And if life came from the stars, does that mean we're not alone? And if life can spread across galaxies, could something else be heading our way? The Tartaria mystery, a lost civilization erased from history? Imagine an entire civilization. Advanced architecture. Grand cities. technology that defies explanation. And then, it was completely erased from history. This is the mystery of Tartaria, a supposedly forgotten empire that some believe was deliberately wiped from the record. But here's the strange part. If Tartaria never existed, why are there maps from the 1600s showing a place called Great Tartary covering modern Russia, Mongolia, and parts of China? And why do we see photos of enormous, Greco-Roman-style buildings in Siberia and Central Asia, places where there should have only been nomadic tribes at the time? Some believe that Tartaria was an advanced global empire, possibly even possessing free energy technology and structures designed to harness Earth's natural power. Others think Tartaria was erased through the mud flood, a worldwide disaster that buried its cities under layers of sediment. But here's the real question. If an empire like this did exist, who erased it? And why? And if this can happen to an entire civilization, how many other advanced societies have been wiped from history? Because the next mystery is even harder to explain. The Baghdad Battery, 2,000-year-old electricity? In 1938, archaeologists near Baghdad uncovered something that shouldn't exist. A clay jar. Inside was a copper cylinder and an iron rod, coated in corrosion. At first, it seemed unimportant. But when scientists looked closer, they realized something shocking. This ancient jar could generate electricity. Wait, what? The design was nearly identical to a modern galvanic cell, a simple battery. When filled with an acidic liquid like vinegar or lemon juice, it produced an electric charge. But here's the thing. This artifact was over 2,000 years old. Electricity wasn't officially discovered until the 18th century. So how did an ancient civilization know how to build a working battery? Some believe the Baghdad battery was used for electroplating, coating objects with gold or silver using electricity. But if they understood how to create electrical current, what else did they know? And if this was just one piece of forgotten technology, what other advanced knowledge have we lost? Because the next discovery might prove that people thousands of years ago had technology that rivals our own. The Piri-Reis map, evidence of prehistoric global exploration? In 1513, an Ottoman admiral named Piri-Reis created a map. At first glance, it looked like any other medieval world map. But there was a problem. It showed Antarctica. And not just Antarctica. Antarctica without ice. But here's the catch. Antarctica wasn't officially discovered until 1820, more than 300 years later. And it's been covered in ice for at least 6,000 years. So how did a map from 1513 accurately depict the coastline beneath the ice? Even more disturbing, modern scientists who studied the map claim that its level of accuracy suggests it was based on aerial or satellite images. But that should be impossible. So where did Piri-Reis get this knowledge? Did he copy it from an even older map, one that was drawn when Antarctica was still ice-free? And if that's true, who charted the world thousands of years before our recorded history even began? And if someone mapped the entire planet before modern civilization, what else did they know? Could there be proof that we've been visited, or that a lost civilization was once far more advanced than we ever imagined? And if that knowledge is buried, what else have we forgotten? The Copper Scroll, a treasure map from the Bible? In 1952, deep inside a cave near the Dead Sea, archaeologists discovered something strange. It wasn't like the other Dead Sea Scrolls, which were written on parchment. This one was made of pure copper. And when they unrolled it, they realized it wasn't a religious text. It was a treasure map. The scroll contained directions to over 60 hidden treasure hoards, gold, silver, and valuable artifacts buried across ancient Israel. But there was a problem. The locations described on the scroll don't exist anymore. Some believe this treasure belonged to the Second Temple in Jerusalem before it was destroyed in 70 AD. Others think it might be connected to the legendary Ark of the Covenant. But here's where it gets even stranger. Despite decades of searching, not a single treasure from the Copper Scroll has ever been found. Did someone find the treasure first? Was the map a deception? Or is it still out there, waiting for someone to decode its hidden clues? And if a lost fortune from the Bible could be buried somewhere in the desert, then what about the other legendary lost treasures that no one has ever found? Because the next mystery takes us deep into the jungle, where an entire lost city may still be hiding. The lost city of Z, a civilization that vanished without a trace. In 1925, a British explorer named Percy Fawcett ventured deep into the Amazon rainforest. His mission? To find a lost city. He believed that somewhere in the jungle, there was an advanced civilization, a place he called Z. But then, Fawcett disappeared. He was never seen again. Since then, countless explorers have tried to find Z. Some never returned. Others came back claiming they had seen ancient ruins, massive stone structures, and even evidence of unknown technology. For years, skeptics dismissed the idea. They said there was no way an advanced civilization could exist in the Amazon. Until now. Recent discoveries have revealed hidden cities beneath the rainforest, covered for centuries by thick vegetation. Massive networks of roads. Sophisticated drainage systems. Signs of a lost civilization far bigger than anyone imagined. Was Fawcett right all along? And if an entire city could disappear under the jungle, how many other lost civilizations are still waiting to be found? Because the next mystery isn't just about something lost. It's about something that was built, and no one knows how. The Coral Castle, a man who defied physics. Imagine a man barely 5 feet tall, weighing just 100 pounds. Alone. With no heavy machinery. Yet somehow, he built a massive castle out of stone. Some of the stones weighed more than a car. This is the mystery of Coral Castle, built by a man named Edward Leedskalnin in Florida. People watched him transport huge blocks of coral, some as heavy as 30 tons, without cranes, pulleys, or modern equipment. No one ever saw how he did it. Some say he knew the secrets of anti-gravity. Others claim he rediscovered the lost knowledge of the Egyptians, the same methods used to build the pyramids. When asked how he moved the stones, Edward simply said, "I know the secret of how the pyramids were built." Then he died. And he took the secret with him. To this day, engineers and scientists still can't explain how he did it. Did he discover lost ancient technology? Or did he tap into a force we don't understand? And if he could move stones that size alone, what were the ancient civilizations capable of? Because if the secrets of Coral Castle were ever truly revealed, they might change everything we know about history. The hum that no one can explain. Imagine trying to fall asleep at night, but there's a low, rumbling hum that never stops. No matter what you do, you can't escape it. For thousands of people around the world, this isn't just a nightmare, it's real. It's called the hum, and it's one of the strangest unexplained phenomena ever recorded. It's been heard in the United States, the UK, Australia, and Canada. Only about 2% of people in any given area can hear it. Scientists have tried everything, measuring electromagnetic fields, sound waves, and even underground vibrations, but they can't find the source. Some believe it's caused by secret government experiments or classified military technology. Others think it might be a symptom of a deeper reality, something we aren't meant to perceive. And then there are those who believe it's not coming from outside at all, but from inside our own minds. The strangest part? For those who can hear it, the hum never stops. It follows them everywhere. And no one knows why. The man from Taured, a traveler from another reality? One summer morning in 1954, a man arrived at Tokyo's Haneda Airport. He spoke fluent Japanese, had a European appearance, and carried a passport from a country called Taured. The only problem? Taured doesn't exist. The officers checked maps, questioned him for hours, but the man was confused and angry. He claimed Taured had existed for over 1,000 years. It was between France and Spain, but the country in that location was Andorra, not Taured. He even had bank records and legal documents proving Taured was real. Customs officials were baffled. They took him to a hotel overnight while they investigated. But the next morning, He was gone. The guards outside his room never saw him leave. All of his documents vanished. It was as if he had never existed at all. Some believe he was a time traveler, caught in the wrong timeline. Others think he accidentally slipped between parallel realities, a glitch in the fabric of the universe. But if that's true, how many others have vanished without us ever knowing? And what happens if one day it happens to you? The immortal Count, a man who never died. There's a name that appears throughout history. Not once, not twice, but for over 300 years. The name? The Count of Saint Germain. In the 1700s, he was known as a scientist, musician, and alchemist. He spoke dozens of languages, never seemed to age, and always had insane amounts of money. He claimed to have lived for centuries, saying he had met historical figures like Jesus, Cleopatra, and even ancient kings. But here's where it gets really weird. After his supposed death in 1784, people kept seeing him. In the 1800s, a woman in Paris wrote in her diary that she met a man identical to Saint Germain, who looked exactly the same as he did in the 1700s. In 1902, a French singer claimed she had a long conversation with him, where he described historical events that hadn't even happened yet. Even in the 20th century, there were reports of a man matching his description appearing in secret societies. Some believe he discovered the secret to eternal life. Others think he was a time traveler, appearing at different points in history. And the strangest theory? That he was never human to begin with. Because if Saint Germain really was immortal, where is he now? And what if he's still watching history unfold, waiting for the right moment to return? The dead woman who woke up, the strange case of Zarima. Imagine this: you're mourning a loved one, saying your final goodbyes. The doctors have confirmed her death. The funeral arrangements are being made. The body has been placed in the cold, dark morgue. And then she wakes up. That's exactly what happened in 2020 to Zarima, a 81-year-old Russian woman. She was taken to the hospital after collapsing at home. The doctors checked her pulse, her breathing, and her vitals. Nothing. She was pronounced dead. Hours later, her body was placed in the hospital morgue, left in the freezing cold. The family was notified, preparing for what was supposed to be her final farewell. But deep inside the morgue, something wasn't right. The staff started hearing noises. A faint scraping sound. Then, a weak moan. When they investigated, they saw something that should have been impossible. Zarima's eyes were open. Her fingers twitched. She was alive. The morgue workers were horrified. She had been in the freezing cold for hours, no heartbeat, no breathing, but somehow, she was awake. When they called the doctors, they couldn't explain it. What made this case even stranger was that Zarima had no memory of what happened. She didn't recall collapsing. She didn't remember being pronounced dead. It was as if she had just skipped forward in time. Some scientists claim it might have been Lazarus syndrome, a rare and unexplained phenomenon where people's hearts mysteriously restart after death. Others believe it was something much darker. And if it could happen to her, how many others have woken up in a morgue, but no one was there to hear them? The woman who was stuck in a time loop for hours. Carol Chase McElhenney was driving through California when she saw a familiar sign. "Welcome to Riverside," her hometown. Feeling nostalgic, she decided to take a detour and visit her childhood neighborhood. But when she arrived, it was completely wrong. The streets weren't where they were supposed to be. The houses looked unfamiliar. She searched for her family's home, but when she got to where it should have been, there was nothing there. Just an empty lot. She thought maybe she was confused, so she drove to the cemetery where her grandparents were buried. It wasn't there. Even stranger, she recognized no one in town. The people walking the streets gave her odd looks, as if she shouldn't be there. She panicked and left immediately. A few years later, she decided to visit again. And this time, everything was back to normal. Her home was exactly where it should have been. The cemetery was back. The town looked just as she remembered it. So what happened the first time? One theory suggests Carol slipped into a parallel universe, one almost identical to our own, but with small, eerie differences. Others believe she experienced a time slip, where she briefly entered a different point in history. Could she have been trapped in a different version of Riverside? Or did she witness something she wasn't supposed to see? And the real question: if it happened to her, could it happen to you? The Voynich Manuscript, a book that no one can read. Buried deep in the archives of Yale University, there is a book that has baffled the greatest minds on Earth for over 600 years. It is called the Voynich Manuscript. And no one, not a single person, knows what it says. It's written in an unknown language that has never been seen before or since. Even with the help of AI, military-grade decryption, and the world's best linguists, no one can decode it. The handwriting is flawless, as if written by someone who had spent a lifetime mastering this strange script. And then, there are the illustrations. Inside the book are bizarre images of unknown plants, strange celestial diagrams, and even naked women submerged in mysterious green liquid. The entire book looks almost alien. But here's where it gets really weird. Modern linguists have run deep AI analysis on the text and discovered something chilling. The words in the Voynich manuscript follow real linguistic patterns, meaning it's not random gibberish. This suggests one of three things. It was written in a lost language that no longer exists. It was created by someone with knowledge we don't understand. It wasn't written by a human. Some believe the manuscript is a coded message from an ancient secret society, hiding knowledge from the rest of the world. Others think it could be evidence of extraterrestrial contact, a guide to another civilization, one we haven't met yet. To this day, no one knows who wrote it. No one knows what it means. And maybe, we were never meant to. The Man from Taured, a traveler from a parallel universe? It was 1954 at Tokyo International Airport. Thousands of travelers passed through customs, just like any other day. But then, one man stepped forward, and his passport made no sense. It was issued by a country called Taured. There is no country named Taured. The Japanese immigration officers were confused. They questioned the man, asking him to point out where his country was on the map. He confidently pointed to Andorra, a small European nation between France and Spain. But when they told him Taured doesn't exist, the man grew frustrated. He pulled out official documents, government-issued IDs, banking statements, even stamps from multiple countries in his passport. All of them were real, but they were from a country that doesn't exist in our world. The officers detained him in a hotel room while they investigated. They placed guards outside his door to ensure he didn't leave. But by the next morning, he was gone. The room was locked from the outside. There was no possible escape route. The man from Taured vanished without a trace, and was never seen again. Did he slip back into his own reality? Or was he erased because he was never supposed to be here in the first place? The Dyatlov Pass incident, a mystery that defies logic. In 1959, 9 experienced hikers set out on a trek through the Ural Mountains in Russia. They were strong, skilled, and prepared. They never returned. Weeks later, their bodies were found, scattered across the snow. But what investigators discovered made no sense. Some were missing their eyes. One woman's tongue was gone. Several bodies showed signs of extreme internal trauma, but with no external wounds. Their tent had been cut open from the inside, as if they were trying to escape something. What were they running from? Some of them were found with high levels of radiation on their clothes. Others were discovered hundreds of meters away, barefoot, in freezing temperatures, as if they had fled in terror. The Soviet government closed the case, saying they had died from an unknown natural force. But theories continued to grow. Secret military tests, were they exposed to a government experiment gone wrong? Yeti attack, could they have been hunted by something unnatural? Paranormal forces, was it a supernatural event? Something beyond human understanding? Aliens, many believe UFOs were spotted in the area that night, and that the hikers saw something they weren't supposed to see. Over 60 years later, the Dyatlov Pass incident remains one of the most terrifying mysteries in history. And the scariest part? No one truly knows what happened that night. The phone call from a dead woman. In 2008, Charles Peck was on his way to Los Angeles for a job interview. He was hoping to start a new life with his fiancée. But he never arrived. His train crashed. It was one of the worst rail disasters in California's history. 25 people died. Charles was one of them. But then, something impossible happened. After the crash, his family received phone calls from his number. Not once. Not twice. Over 35 times. His fiancée, his son, his brother, all of them received calls from Charles. But when they answered, there was only silence. They tried to call back, but no one picked up. Rescue teams used the calls to track his location inside the wreckage. They desperately searched for him, hoping he was alive. But when they finally found his body, he had been dead for hours. His phone was completely destroyed. It was physically impossible for him to have made those calls. So who was calling? Some believe it was his spirit, trying to reach out one last time. Others think it was something much stranger, a glitch in reality, a phenomenon we still don't understand. And the biggest question of all: where was Charles in those last moments? The lake that vanishes and reappears, nature's greatest illusion. Imagine waking up one morning to find an entire lake missing. No trace of water, no riverbed, just dry land. Then, a few days or weeks later, the lake mysteriously reappears as if nothing ever happened. This isn't a fantasy but a real phenomenon occurring in places like Lake Cerknica in Slovenia and the disappearing Tarn in Australia. These lakes operate on complex underground systems of porous rock, caves, and seasonal water flow. When the underground reservoirs fill up, water rises and floods the surface, forming a lake. But when water levels drop or drain through cracks in the bedrock, the entire body of water vanishes. For centuries, locals have been baffled by this illusion, attributing it to spirits or supernatural forces. But modern geology explains it as a result of karst landscapes, where underground rivers and caves dictate the presence of water above ground. Even today, these disappearing lakes remain a mystery in some aspects, as scientists continue to study their unpredictable nature. Could there be even more unknown forces at play? The mystery of the Longyu Caves, ancient megastructures with no known origin. In 1992, a Chinese farmer stumbled upon a flooded cave while trying to pump water from a pond. What he discovered would go on to puzzle historians, architects, and archaeologists alike. The Longyu Caves in China are a massive underground network of hand-carved chambers, estimated to be at least 2,000 years old. But the biggest mystery? There is no record of their construction. Each cave, carved entirely out of solid rock, is symmetrical and contains intricate chisel marks covering the walls and ceilings. Experts estimate that it would have taken thousands of workers' years to complete, yet no ancient texts or records mention their existence. No tools, debris, or construction plans have ever been found. Some theories suggest they could have been used for storage, military purposes, or even secret rituals. Others believe they could be evidence of an unknown civilization with advanced technology. To this day, the Longyu Caves remain one of history's greatest enigmas. The phantom time hypothesis. Did 300 years of history never happen? What if I told you that we might be living in the wrong year? The phantom time hypothesis, proposed by German historian Herbert Illig, suggests that nearly 300 years of recorded history, from 614 to 911 AD, were completely fabricated. According to this theory, the early Middle Ages never happened. Instead, powerful rulers, including the Holy Roman Emperor Otto III and Pope Sylvester II, allegedly manipulated historical records to place themselves in a more favorable position in time. This means that the year 2025 would actually be closer to 1725. Supporters of this idea point to inconsistencies in medieval historical records, missing archaeological evidence from this period, and even odd gaps in astronomical observations. Critics, however, argue that the hypothesis lacks solid proof and is purely speculative. If true, This would mean that entire historical figures and events, including Charlemagne, might be nothing more than myths. Could we be living in a timeline that was artificially constructed? The ancient map that shows Antarctica ice-free, who charted it first? In 1513, Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis created a map that would go on to shake the foundations of historical cartography. His map showed continents and coastlines with stunning accuracy, some of which had yet to be officially discovered. But the most shocking detail? It appears to depict Antarctica without its thick ice cover. The Piri Reis map shows landmasses that match modern satellite imagery of Antarctica's actual coastline, which is hidden beneath miles of ice today. This raises a chilling question: who mapped Antarctica before the ice formed? Modern science tells us that the continent has been covered in ice for over 10,000 years, meaning an advanced civilization must have charted it long before history acknowledges their existence. Some theories claim the map is evidence of an ancient seafaring civilization, possibly even one that predates recorded history. Others believe it could have been based on lost knowledge passed down from civilizations like the Greeks or Egyptians. Either way, the Piri Reis map remains one of the most controversial artifacts in historical research. The lake that boils, a mysterious body of water that stays scorching hot year-round. Deep in the jungles of Dominica lies a lake unlike any other. Known as the Boiling Lake, this natural wonder reaches temperatures so high that it constantly churns with steam and bubbling water. Standing near its shores feels like stepping into another world, one where nature itself defies logic. The boiling lake is heated from below by volcanic activity, with superheated gases rising from beneath the Earth's crust. The temperature is so extreme that falling into it would mean instant death. Despite its dangerous nature, the lake's origins are still somewhat mysterious. Some researchers believe an underground lava chamber is responsible for the lake's continuous boiling, while others suggest the lake may be connected to a larger network of geothermal activity yet to be fully understood. Legends among locals tell tales of spirits and mythical creatures guarding the lake, warning that its waters hold powers beyond human comprehension. Is the boiling lake just another geothermal marvel, or is there more to this scalding mystery than meets the eye? The ocean's secret sounds. Deep beneath the vast, unexplored depths of our planet's oceans, strange and unexplained sounds have been detected for decades. Among the most famous is the bloop, a powerful, ultra-low frequency sound captured in 1997 by NOAA's hydrophones. The sound was so loud that it was detected from multiple listening stations over 3,000 miles apart. For years, theories ranged from a colossal, unknown sea creature to an underwater explosion. Eventually, scientists suggested it was the sound of icebergs cracking and shifting, but not everyone was convinced. Then there's Julia, another unexplained sound recorded in 1999. This eerie noise, lasting about 15 seconds, had no known source. Some believe it's related to shifting ice, while others speculate something more mysterious lurks in the deep. And who can forget Slow Down? A sound that steadily decreased in frequency, leading some to believe it was the call of an enormous sea creature. Despite advancements in marine research, many of these deep-sea anomalies remain unsolved. Could it be that our oceans hide creatures or phenomena beyond our understanding? Or are these simply the echoes of Earth's natural processes? The shadow people phenomenon. Imagine waking up in the middle of the night, frozen in fear as a dark, humanoid figure looms over you. You try to move, but your body refuses to respond. Then, as suddenly as it appeared, the shadow vanishes. Reports of these eerie entities, known as shadow people, have been recorded for centuries across different cultures. Some describe them as harmless silhouettes lurking in the corner of their vision. Others claim they have glowing red eyes and a malevolent presence. Many cases occur during sleep paralysis, a terrifying condition where the mind wakes up before the body, leaving the person temporarily paralyzed. Scientists attribute the phenomenon to hallucinations triggered by the brain in a half-dreaming state. But those who have experienced it firsthand argue otherwise. Some paranormal researchers believe shadow people could be interdimensional beings, slipping in and out of our reality. Others connect them to ancient folklore, suggesting they may be manifestations of negative energy, or even spirits attempting to make contact. Whether hallucinations or something more sinister, encounters with shadow people leave a lasting impression on those who witness them. The crystal skulls mystery. Scattered across museums and private collections around the world are mysterious, translucent skulls said to be relics of ancient civilizations. The most famous of these is the Mitchell Hedges skull, discovered in the 1920s in Belize. Carved from a single block of quartz, it is so precisely crafted that no known tool marks exist, leading some to believe it was shaped using advanced, or even otherworldly technology. The legend surrounding these artifacts claims there are 13 crystal skulls, and when brought together, they will reveal secrets of the universe. Some believe they possess mystical powers, offering knowledge, healing, or even psychic abilities. However, skeptics argue that most of these skulls were likely created in the 19th century using modern tools. Scientific tests have cast doubt on their ancient origins, but their flawless design remains an enigma. Could they be remnants of a lost civilization, or are they merely elaborate hoaxes designed to captivate our imagination? The Stone Towers of Peru. High in the Andes Mountains of Peru, massive stone towers rise in ways that seem to defy gravity. These structures, known as chulpas, were built by pre-Incan civilizations as burial sites for the elite. But what makes them truly fascinating is their engineering. Many of the stones are stacked with such precision that not even a blade of grass can fit between them. Some towers feature rocks precariously balanced in ways that should not be possible, defying conventional construction techniques. Mainstream archaeologists believe these were carefully designed using ancient masonry skills, but others suggest a more mysterious explanation. Could the builders have possessed lost knowledge, using techniques we no longer understand? Some researchers speculate the use of unknown binding materials or even an ancient form of geopolymers that allowed them to mold stone. Others suggest the possibility of sound or vibration technology. To this day, no one knows for sure how these structures were built with such incredible precision, adding to the mystery of Peru's forgotten civilizations. The Cave of the Bells. Deep within the Santa Rita Mountains of Arizona lies a cave that holds an eerie reputation. The Cave of the Bells is known for its bizarre acoustics and unnerving silence. Unlike most caves, where sounds echo and bounce off walls, noises inside this cavern seem to vanish, swallowed by the surrounding rock. Explorers have reported experiencing an overwhelming sense of isolation and disorientation, as if the cave itself is absorbing sound. Adding to its mystery, some have claimed to hear unexplained noises deep within its chambers, whispers, footsteps, or even the distant tolling of a bell, despite no known source. Legends say the cave could be a gateway to another dimension, or perhaps it holds some kind of natural frequency that affects human perception. Scientists attribute these anomalies to the cave's unique geological composition, which absorbs sound waves differently than most environments. But whether the cave is a natural wonder or something more enigmatic, those who venture inside rarely leave without feeling its unsettling presence. The ancient sound that can levitate objects. Lost science of the ancients? Sound. It's all around us. We hear it, we feel it, but what if it could do more? What if sound had the power to defy gravity itself? Throughout history, there have been mysterious accounts of sound being used to lift and move objects. Could ancient civilizations have known a secret that we've lost? In Tibet, legends speak of monks who used sound to lift massive stones. According to one 20th century account, Tibetan monks positioned a series of drums and horns at precise angles. As they chanted and played their instruments, enormous boulders reportedly began to rise, defying gravity as if lifted by an invisible force. But this isn't just an old myth. In modern science, we know that sound waves can create pressure strong enough to move objects. Researchers have demonstrated acoustic levitation, where intense sound waves trap and suspend small objects in midair. Could it be possible that ancient civilizations mastered this principle on a much larger scale? Some theories suggest that structures like the pyramids or Stonehenge were built using sound-based levitation techniques. Without advanced machinery, how did ancient builders transport and position stones weighing tons? Could they have harnessed frequencies that modern technology is only beginning to understand? Scientists today continue to explore the hidden power of sound. But if the ancients truly unlocked the ability to move objects with sound alone, the secret remains lost, at least for now. The pyramid energy theory. Were ancient structures more than just tombs? The Great Pyramid of Giza. An engineering marvel, a historical enigma, and according to some, a lost source of energy. Could the pyramids have been more than just tombs? Could they have harnessed some kind of unknown power? Some researchers believe the pyramids weren't built simply to house the dead. Instead, they theorize that these massive structures were designed to collect and amplify energy. The idea is based on something known as the pyramid energy theory, the belief that pyramidal shapes can channel electromagnetic or even mystical forces. Studies have shown that pyramidal structures can concentrate energy. In 2018, scientists discovered that the Great Pyramid interacts with electromagnetic waves, focusing energy into its internal chambers. Was this an intentional design, or just a coincidence? Theories go even further. Some claim the pyramids could have generated wireless energy, much like Nikola Tesla's experiments in the early 20th century. Others suggest that the pyramid's layout mirrors celestial constellations, hinting at a connection between cosmic energy and Earth's natural forces. Could the ancient Egyptians have built the pyramids as massive energy hubs, tapping into knowledge we no longer understand? Or is the pyramid energy theory just another mystery lost to time? The city that sleeps for weeks, a village where people mysteriously fall unconscious. Imagine waking up one morning and feeling an overwhelming urge to sleep. You fight it, but your body gives in. You close your eyes, and you don't wake up for days. This isn't science fiction, it's a real phenomenon that has plagued a small village in Kazakhstan. The village of Kalachi, known as the Sleepy Hollow of Kazakhstan, has experienced an unexplained epidemic for years. Dozens of people have reported suddenly falling into a deep sleep that lasts for days or even weeks. Some wake up feeling fine, while others suffer from confusion, memory loss, or hallucinations. Scientists have struggled to explain the cause. At first, they suspected a mysterious illness. Then, they tested the air, the water, and even the soil. Some believe the phenomenon is linked to an abandoned Soviet uranium mine nearby. Could toxic gases be affecting the brain, triggering sudden unconsciousness? But if radiation is to blame, why does it only affect certain people at random times? The mystery remains unsolved. Is it a natural gas leak? An unknown neurological disorder? Or something more sinister? For now, Kalachi's unexplained slumber continues. And those who fall into its grip have no choice but to surrender to the unknown. The moving rocks of Death Valley, how do they glide across the desert? Deep in California's Death Valley, in an isolated region called Racetrack Playa, something bizarre happens. Massive rocks, some weighing hundreds of pounds, move across the dry desert floor, entirely on their own. These sailing stones leave long trails behind them, as if they had been pushed or dragged. But there's no sign of human or animal interference. For decades, scientists were baffled. What could possibly be moving these massive stones? Some speculated that underground vibrations or magnetic forces were at play. Others believed extreme winds might be responsible. But none of these theories fully explained the rock's unpredictable movements. Then, in 2014, researchers captured the phenomenon on camera for the first time. They discovered that under rare conditions, a thin layer of ice forms beneath the rocks. When the ice breaks apart in the morning sun, the stones glide across the muddy surface, propelled by light winds. While the mystery has a scientific explanation, the sight of enormous rocks sliding across the desert still feels surreal. Even knowing the cause, it remains one of nature's strangest and most fascinating spectacles. The 800-year-old astronaut carvings, evidence of space travel in the past? Carved into the walls of an ancient Spanish cathedral, a strange figure stands out among the religious symbols. It wears what looks like a spacesuit, complete with a helmet and breathing apparatus. But there's just one problem. The carving is over 800 years old. The astronaut-like figure is found at the Cathedral of Salamanca, a structure that dates back to the 12th century. How did a medieval artist carve something that looks so much like modern space gear? Some say it's evidence of ancient astronauts, proof that extraterrestrial beings visited Earth long before recorded history. Others believe it could be a representation of a lost advanced civilization, one that may have had knowledge of space travel far earlier than we thought. However, skeptics argue that the carving isn't ancient at all. In 1992, during a restoration project, an artist added the astronaut as a small joke, blending it into the cathedral's historical carvings. So, is this carving a hidden clue to an ancient mystery? Or is it simply modern artistry disguised as history? The answer might not be as exciting as time-traveling civilizations or extraterrestrial visitors, but it's still a reminder that sometimes, mysteries can be created in the most unexpected ways. The underwater pyramid of Yonaguni, a sunken civilization lost to time? Off the coast of Japan, beneath the waves near Yonaguni Island, lies a massive stone structure that has puzzled researchers for decades. Known as the Yonaguni Monument, this formation features flat terraces, sharp angles, and what appear to be staircases, leading some to believe it's the remnants of an ancient lost civilization. Discovered in 1986 by a diver exploring the seafloor, the structure sits 26 meters, 85 feet, underwater. Some researchers claim it's a man-made pyramid, possibly belonging to the legendary lost continent of Mu. They point to its geometric design, precision-cut steps, and what appear to be ancient carvings as proof of human construction. However, mainstream geologists argue that the structure was shaped naturally by ocean currents and erosion over thousands of years. But if that's the case, how do we explain the straight lines, right angles, and symmetrical formations? Is it simply an unusual rock formation, or could it be evidence of a forgotten civilization swallowed by the sea? The mysterious 432 Hz frequency. Can it unlock hidden human potential? Music has been an essential part of human culture for millennia, but some researchers believe a specific frequency, 432 Hz, holds a hidden power. Some claim it can enhance mental clarity, relaxation, and even unlock deep human potential. But is there any truth to it? Historically, ancient civilizations, including the Greeks and Egyptians, tuned their instruments to 432 Hz, believing it to be in harmony with the natural vibrations of the universe. Some modern researchers suggest that music at this frequency creates a more soothing and balanced experience, as opposed to the standard 440 Hz tuning used today. Proponents of the 432 Hz theory argue that it aligns with the natural vibrations of planetary orbits, the human body, and even sacred geometry. Some claim that listening to 432 Hz music can reduce stress, improve focus, and even activate parts of the brain linked to intuition and consciousness. Skeptics, however, argue that the differences are purely psychological and that no scientific evidence supports the idea that 432 Hz has special properties. But if it truly does influence the mind and body in unique ways, why was 440 Hz chosen as the global standard instead? Could there be a reason this ancient frequency was forgotten? The cave that makes people hallucinate, a natural portal to another reality? Deep in the wilderness, there exists a mysterious cave where those who enter report experiencing visions, strange voices, and eerie sensations, as if they're stepping into another dimension. But is there a scientific explanation, or could this cave truly be a portal to something unknown? Throughout history, caves have been linked to spiritual rituals and supernatural experiences, often believed to be gateways to the underworld. In this particular cave, explorers have described bizarre auditory distortions, time dilation, and even visual hallucinations. Some claim to have seen shadowy figures or felt an overwhelming presence watching them. Scientists studying similar locations have discovered that certain caves produce high levels of carbon dioxide or natural hallucinogenic gases, which can trigger altered states of consciousness. Other theories suggest the cave might sit on an electromagnetic hotspot, influencing brain activity and creating hallucinations. But local legends tell a different story. Some believe the cave was once used for ancient rituals, and the energies of past ceremonies still linger. Others insist that something far stranger is at work, an unknown force that bends reality itself. Is this cave simply an example of natural gases affecting the brain, or could it be a true portal to another realm? The island that appears and disappears, a landmass that defies mapping. For centuries, sailors and explorers have reported sightings of a mysterious island, one that appears on the horizon, only to vanish without a trace. Some maps have even recorded its existence, yet no one has ever been able to confirm its location. Legends of ghost islands exist worldwide, but one of the most famous is Hy Brasil, an island said to emerge off the coast of Ireland once every 7 years before disappearing again. Some historical maps from the 15th and 16th centuries even depict its location, yet modern expeditions have never been able to find it. Could this be an example of mirage-like optical illusions caused by atmospheric conditions? Some scientists suggest that light refraction over water can create the illusion of land appearing where none exists. Others believe these sightings could be due to submerged landmasses that briefly rise due to seismic activity or changes in sea levels. However, ancient myths claim a more supernatural explanation, a hidden land that only reveals itself under certain cosmic alignments, or to those who are worthy. Some even believe these islands are not of this world, but instead part of a parallel dimension. Is this just a case of mistaken geography, or could there truly be a land that exists beyond our understanding? The ancient mechanism that predicted the future, how was it made? In 1901, a team of divers off the coast of Greece discovered a mysterious object buried beneath the sea, a heavily corroded device that would later be called the Antikythera mechanism. What they found was astonishing, a 2,000-year-old machine with an intricate system of gears and dials, essentially, an ancient computer. Believed to have been built by the ancient Greeks, this device was capable of tracking celestial movements, eclipses, and even predicting astronomical events with remarkable accuracy. But how did an ancient civilization create a mechanism so advanced that it wouldn't be replicated for over 1,000 years? The Antikythera mechanism contains over 30 bronze gears, and researchers believe it was used to calculate the positions of the sun, moon, and planets. It even had a dial to predict the exact dates of solar and lunar eclipses, a feat that should have been impossible with the technology of the time. The craftsmanship suggests an understanding of mechanical engineering far beyond what was previously believed possible in ancient Greece. Some theories suggest it was inspired by lost knowledge from an even older civilization, while others question whether this was truly the only device of its kind. Was the Antikythera mechanism the product of an ancient genius, a lost technological tradition, or something even more mysterious? If devices like this existed in the past, what other forgotten knowledge have we lost to time? The ancient underground tunnels that stretch across continents. Beneath our feet lies one of history's most perplexing mysteries, an interconnected network of tunnels that span entire continents. From Europe to South America, these tunnels, some carved with impossible precision, seem to have been created by an ancient civilization with knowledge far beyond their time. Some theories suggest they were used for safe passage during conflicts, while others claim they served as underground highways for lost civilizations. But who built them? And how did they achieve such remarkable engineering feats without modern technology? To this day, their origin remains a secret buried deep within the earth. The river that runs red. Imagine a river that suddenly turns blood red, its water staining the land as if touched by an unseen force. This eerie phenomenon has been reported in various locations across the world, sometimes explained by natural causes such as algae blooms or high levels of iron oxide. However, in some cases, no scientific explanation has been found, leading to theories of biblical prophecies, environmental disasters, or even unknown geological forces at work. Whether a natural wonder or a cryptic warning, these crimson rivers continue to puzzle researchers and spark fear in those who witness them. The village that hears strange whispers. In a small, isolated village, the night is never truly silent. Residents claim to hear ghostly whispers echoing through the air, voices that seem to come from nowhere, and carry messages no one can fully understand. Some believe it's the wind playing tricks, while others insist it's something far more sinister. Paranormal investigators have attempted to record the sounds, only to capture unexplainable frequencies. Could it be an auditory illusion, a scientific anomaly, or evidence of a presence from another realm? Whatever the cause, the whispers remain an unsettling enigma. The enigma of the lost labyrinth of Egypt. Ancient texts speak of a labyrinth so vast and intricate that it was once considered the eighth wonder of the world. Described by historians like Herodotus, this underground maze was said to contain thousands of chambers filled with hieroglyphs and hidden knowledge. Yet, despite its detailed descriptions, no physical evidence of the labyrinth has been found. Some believe it lies buried beneath the sands of Egypt, waiting to be uncovered, while others suggest it may have been deliberately hidden to protect its secrets. If rediscovered, it could change our understanding of ancient Egyptian civilization forever. The ancient statues that cry. Across different cultures and religions, reports of weeping statues have baffled scientists and believers alike. Whether carved from stone, metal, or wood, these statues have been witnessed shedding tears, sometimes of water, blood, or oil. While skeptics argue that condensation or chemical reactions could explain the phenomenon, many cases remain unexplained, as no external sources of moisture are found. Some view it as a divine sign, while others fear it as an omen. Are these statues truly shedding tears, or is there an unknown force behind these mysterious manifestations? The skyquake mystery, mysterious booms heard around the world. In towns and cities across the globe, people have reported hearing massive, unexplained booms, loud enough to shake windows and rattle nerves. But when they go outside to investigate, there's nothing there. No explosions, no earthquakes, no jets breaking the sound barrier. These unexplained sounds, known as skyquakes, have been reported for centuries. Some scientists suggest they could be caused by underground seismic activity, meteor explosions in the upper atmosphere, or shockwaves from distant storms. Others believe they might be linked to secret military experiments, or even natural phenomena we don't yet understand. But the strangest part? Many of these booms happen in clear skies, over calm waters, and in areas with no known geological activity. Until we find solid proof, the mystery of skyquakes remains unsolved. The lighthouse that runs itself, a beacon that's been active for centuries. On a remote stretch of coastline stands a lighthouse that has never gone dark. It has no visible caretaker, no modern power source, and yet, night after night, its beacon continues to shine. Historians believe the lighthouse was built centuries ago, but records of its construction are vague at best. Some suggest it runs on a forgotten mechanical system, possibly powered by the tides or wind. Others claim it is maintained by unseen hands, perhaps a hidden society or even supernatural forces. Over the years, sailors have reported seeing strange figures inside, only for them to vanish into thin air. Could this lighthouse be home to a force beyond our understanding? Until someone dares to shut it off and see what happens, the mystery remains. The ocean's glowing waves, a bizarre light show with no clear cause. Imagine standing on a beach at night when, suddenly, the waves begin to glow, bright blue, green, or even red, lighting up the shoreline as if the ocean itself is alive. Scientists often attribute this phenomenon to bioluminescent plankton, microscopic organisms that emit light when disturbed. But in some places, the glow appears in waters where no bioluminescence has ever been found. Some researchers believe it could be caused by chemical reactions deep within the ocean, or even unknown forms of marine life. Others point to mysterious energy sources beneath the seafloor, possibly linked to geothermal vents or even ancient ruins. The ocean is vast, and most of it remains unexplored. Could these glowing waves be a sign of something we have yet to discover? The strange case of the never-melting ice, a climate mystery that defies science. Deep in the Arctic and Antarctic, there are patches of ice that refuse to melt, even when temperatures rise above freezing. Scientists have studied these formations for years, yet no explanation fully accounts for why they remain frozen against all odds. Some theories suggest that ancient, trapped gases are cooling the ice from within, creating a natural refrigeration effect. Others believe that unknown minerals in the ice act as a heat shield, preventing it from melting. But perhaps the most unsettling theory is that the ice contains something ancient, something that should not be disturbed. Some of these glaciers contain microbes and bacteria that have been frozen for millions of years. Could this never melting ice be protecting life forms that existed before human civilization? And if it ever does melt, what might we release into the world? The hidden messages in ancient temples, were they trying to tell us something? Across the world, in temples built thousands of years ago, archaeologists have found strange carvings and symbols that don't match any known language. Some believe these are simple decorations, but others think they could be messages left behind by ancient civilizations, possibly warnings, predictions, or even knowledge lost to time. Many temples are built with astonishing mathematical precision, aligning perfectly with celestial bodies, solstices, and even distant planets. Could these be messages encoded into the architecture itself? Some researchers have even suggested that certain temples were designed to amplify sound or energy in ways we still don't understand. Were these ancient builders trying to pass down forgotten wisdom? Or were they warning us about something we have yet to uncover? Until we decode these symbols, the mystery remains.